Hello everybody, this is Mike Thompson. I am glad that you are with me today. We're studying the life of Christ, and we're just watching the actions of Christ and what He says and what He does. And we've been doing this since He was 8 days old. We're in the point that's called the Transfiguration. Jesus is starting to talk about His death, burial, and resurrection. He's starting to ask the disciples who He is, and they describe Him as the Messiah, the Christ. And now He starts to tell them that they got to pick up their cross and follow Him. The very next thing happens. It's in the book of Matthew, Mark, and Luke. We're going to read Mark, chapter 9, verse 2. And after 6 days, Jesus taketh with Him Peter, James, and John, leads them up into a high mountain apart by themselves, and He transfigured before them. His raiment became shining, exceedingly white as snow, so as no fuller on earth can white them. And there appeared unto Him Elias with Moses, and they were talking with Jesus. And Peter answered and said to Jesus, Master, is it good for us to be here? And let us make 3 tabernacles, one for thee, and one for Moses, and one for Elias. And he wit not what to say, for they were so afraid. And there was a cloud that overshadowed them. And a voice came out of the cloud, saying, This is my beloved Son, hear Him. And suddenly, when they had looked round about, they saw no man any more, save Jesus only, with themselves. Whew. So Jesus takes Peter, James, and John, His inner circle, up into this high mountain. And it's interesting, as they're standing there, the Bible says that Jesus was transfigured. Now, that's a word that I don't normally use, transfigured. So I looked it up in the Greek, and it simply means, as they were there, Jesus was changed. They seen a change come upon Christ. And suddenly His raiment became shiny and exceedingly white as snow. Whiter than anything that's ever been on this earth. Now that would sort of be a little spooky, wouldn't it? Not knowing what's going on. And then, as Christ is being changed and you're up in this mountain, suddenly there's Elias, which is Elijah. Elijah, the prophet of the Old Testament, the one that prayed and God sent fire down from the heavens. There was Elijah, and then there was Moses. And you know who Moses was, because you've seen the movie The 10 Commandments. Of course, this wasn't the actor in the movie. This was actually Moses himself. And they came down, and the Bible says they were talking with Jesus. Boy, I tell you what, I've heard someone say, I wish I was a spider on that wall. Wouldn't it have been awesome to know what they're talking about? Elijah, Moses, and Jesus. Oh my goodness sakes. And you know what the disciples said? They said, is it good for us to be here? I would do the same thing. I'm not sure I fit well in this company here. Elijah, Moses, and Jesus. But Jesus took these 3 disciples up with Him. Jesus chose them. What a great honor it was for Peter, James, and John to be up in the mountain during this experience. I don't know what they talked about. I don't know what Elijah and Moses said to Jesus, or what Jesus said to them. But it was just a very interesting thing. The disciples thought it was so enormous, they thought, we got to build some monuments here, some tabernacles. One for you, Jesus, one for Moses, one for Elijah. But that wasn't the case. So this is just an interesting time, and we can start seeing some transition in the life of Christ. From the very time He said, Whom do you say that I am? And they said, You're the Messiah. Then He told them about His death, resurrection, Then he said, you pick up your cross and follow me. And then he took him up to a high mountain. And he was transformed right in the very presence of him. And suddenly here comes Moses and Elijah. And before you knew it, Moses and Elijah was gone. And the only one was there was Jesus. God bless you.